This presentation is going to be focusing on a review of the update of the cold stress calculator, a keyboard shortcut tutorial, the Anthropometric calculator, and our Office Ergonomics calculator. So just a bit of a historical overview. The cold stress calculator was initially released at RSI Day in 2022. The keyboard shortcut tutorial at the same time. The Anthropometric calculator the year previously in 2021. And the first version of the Office Ergonomics Calculator was released way back in 2018 and was revised in May of 2022. So why were these products revised? Well, all of them were downloadable programs based either in Excel or PowerPoint. But issues began to arise due to older versions of Excel and PowerPoint that when updates occurred could often render the links and formulas unusable. Different Windows security features could also affect the links and formulas. 3 possible errors occurred when opening the programs. Example, a protected view, a security warning, manage workbook links, and finally, updating of links. All of these are possible options that show up in different Microsoft products that can often, again, render the program unusable. So people would often have to delete it and re-download it again, taking care not to actually do enable any of these features, which often would become a real pain. So the same issue also applied to PowerPoint. Plus, because the tutorials were based in PowerPoint, they were quite large and it took a great deal of time to download. Some of the clicking the features varied for different users and again rendered the program unusable. So due to the programs being downloadable and OCal not requiring people to log into the website to access them, we didn't have the ability to track the information, which was lost to inform the public of any changes, updates, revisions to the program. Often results in users using an outdated version. And outdated versions can at times become unusable due to the updates, internal coding being disrupted, and fundamental changes to the updated program. Also, due to limited resources and funding, all we could do was add a disclaimer to our website warning people about potential errors. Now, in 2024, July, the Ministry of Labor, Immigration, Training, Skills and Development Prevention Division implemented a call for submissions for educational resources with a completion date of March 30th of this year. 4 projects were submitted under the submission for development into both not only a web-based program, but also mobile app format to eliminate any of these previously mentioned issues. The projects were approved in October 2024, which I began then immediately updating the graphics, videos, and very precise detailed instructions for when I procured both the web and app developers. And then the revisions began. Now, the first one that we did revise was the cold stress calculator. It was created as a simple means for what precautions people should be taken to protect workers from cold-related adverse health outcomes. By entering in the outdoor temperature, wind speed into it, we could estimate the adjusted temperature or wind chill temperature. The temperature and wind chill speed information could be obtained by accessing current weather information. And it was a way to estimate wind speed was also provided. The calculator then determined the adjusted temperature, risk to workers, potential health concerns, and provided recommendations for precautions. And immediately following its debut at the RSI Day, the city of Ottawa graciously offered to translate it to French for us. So now we're able to offer it both in English and French. So part of the revisions, originally it was Excel-based in English and French. The updates were to take this, make it web-based, and also create a mobile app.
How to use the cold stress calculator. Regardless if you are using the web-based or mobile app, both versions function in the same manner with a similar layout. Both versions start with an explanation of what is cold stress, also known as wind chill, and how to use the calculator. Once the calculator is opened, it is important to take note of its features. The first is the enter the current wind speed option, followed by the selection of the current outdoor temperature. To demonstrate, let us first select a wind speed of 10 km per hour and current temperature of -10. You will notice that the adjusted temperature has changed to -15 degrees Celsius. This is the wind chill effect. The calculator then displays additional features. The first is that a wind chill of -15 degrees Celsius places someone in a moderate risk of frostbite. The second is possible health concerns, and third, precautions that should be undertaken to minimize the effects of cold stress. For a second example, let us change the wind speed to 20 km per hour and the current temperature to -20 degrees Celsius. This changes the adjusted temperature to -30, which now places workers at a high risk of developing frostbite. If you are unable to access information regarding the current wind speed, you could still estimate the wind chill. For example, you could obtain the current temperature if you have an outdoor thermometer or temperature gauge in your vehicle. Then, by selecting the Estimating Wind Speed link, you are brought to a table that provides examples of physical cues you can use to be able to estimate wind speed. The difference between the two versions are the location of the references of the mobile app that are displayed on the About tab. The second is the mobile app uses a pop-up for the legend. The legend for the web-based version is located near the bottom of the page due to accommodating different browser versions. OCAL hopes the cold stress calculator will assist in the prevention of cold stress-related health effects for you in your workplace. How to use the
Now, the second tool we revised was our keyboard shortcut tutorial. This was power-based, again available in both English and French, and had versions for Windows operator users and Apple operators. The updates included creating both, again, a web-based and mobile app feature with enhanced video and graphics.
How to use the keyboard shortcuts tutorial. Regardless if you are using the web-based or mobile app, both versions function in the same manner and start with an explanation of the tutorial. To start, you must select your computer operating system and preferred language. Both versions begin with an introductory message and a short description about keyboard shortcuts. To proceed, click the icon at the bottom. You must then determine which type of key functions you would like to learn about. Once selected, you can then click on any shortcut you wish, or select in order. The screen will then display a keyboard demonstrating the selected shortcut, which then minimizes to show its action.
To lock the computer, press the Windows and L keys.
When it is finished, you can either return to the previous shortcut category menu, return to the previous shortcut, return to the main menu, go to the next shortcut, or skip to the next shortcut category. In this example, the next shortcut was selected. To launch the Task Manager, press the Ctrl, Alt, and Delete keys. When the video is ended, you can return to the previous shortcut category, main menu, next category of shortcuts, or try a practice of the shortcut keys you have just learned about. The practice session is available on the last shortcut of every category.
The third tool was the Anthropometric calculator. This was Excel-based. Now, the updates included, again, a web and mobile app version, reorganization of the tables, improved graphics, and the ability to have the data exported to the Office Ergonomics Calculator.
How to use the Anthropometric calculator. Regardless if you are using the web-based or mobile app, both versions function in the same manner with similar layout. Both versions start with an explanation of the calculator, what is anthropometrics, and how to use. To start using the web-based program, select your sex at birth to proceed. To start using the mobile app version, select your sex at birth and then the anthropometric calculator icon. Then for either version you will need to select whether you wish the results to be displayed in a table or graphically, followed by the units you wish the results to be in. Finally, select your height. To demonstrate, let's select male as the sex at birth. Once the anthropometric calculator has loaded, figure view was selected, with imperial units and a height of 70 inches. As you can see, the results are displayed in a graphic format. Then by selecting table view, you can see that the same results are shown in tables. OCAL hopes the anthropometric calculator will assist in the mitigation and prevention of work-related injuries for you and your workplace parties.
And the final tool was the Office Ergonomics Calculator. This, of course, was web-based. The updates included both a web-based and mobile app, the ability to import data from the Anthropometric calculator, improved audio, graphics, videos, the option to select both metric or imperial units. Previously, it was limited to just metric. The ability to select different keyboard selections. In the initial version, we assumed that everyone had a height adjustable keyboard tray. The new option now is the ability to select whether you have a height adjustable tray, non-height adjustable tray, or your keyboard just sitting on the desk. We've added the option for dual monitors compared to just a single, and also a new variable with being monitor distance. And we also updated the landing page. So with the addition of the different keyboard surfaces and the single dual monitors, we went from one scenario to 6 possible new scenarios that could be investigated. We also, again, the ability to import your data from the Anthropometric calculator. If someone was working home or had an issue with measurement error, they could import their measurements from the calculator, which is about 95% accurate. However, the physical equipment measurements must still be taken. So in a comparison just of version 2 compared to version 3, version 3 now offers multiple keyboard configurations, dual monitor use. Both versions accounted for bifocals, as well as sit-stand workstations. Imperial and metric are now being addressed. Both were linking to OCAL's Office Ergonomics Reference Guide. They included the ideal setup results. The new version accounts for being able to work alone or not having anyone to be able to do measurements for you. Version 2 addressed 4 possible scenarios. Version 3 allows for 24. Version 3 also accounts for dynamic display, multiple formats, has increased the maximum number of comparable variables from 11 to 14, and the max number of ideal setup variables from 9 to 13.
How to use the Office Ergonomics Calculator. Regardless if you are using the web-based or mobile app, both versions start with an explanation of the calculator. To start the calculator on the mobile version, you will need to select Office Ergonomics Calculator icon. Once loaded, both versions have a series of questions that must be answered in order to proceed. You must first select your preferred units of measure. Then select whether you use a height adjustable keyboard tray, non-height adjustable keyboard tray, or if there is no keyboard tray, and your keyboard is placed upon the desk surface. Then select whether you are using a single monitor or dual monitors. Finally, select whether you have someone to perform your physical measurements for you. If you do not, click No, then select your sex at birth, and your height based on the preferred units you selected. Using OCAL's Anthropometric calculator, an estimate of your physical dimensions will be used to enable you to properly use the calculator. Finally, select Go to Calculator. You will then receive a series of instructions, such as it is advised to use a metal tape measure when measuring. Additionally, it is stated that it is physically impossible for anyone to be able to perform accurate measurements of their physical characteristics themselves. This is why data from the Anthropometric calculator can be used in lieu of having someone to perform the measurements for you. You also have the option to watch 2 short videos. The first, an overview of the Office Ergonomics Calculator. If you have not used the calculator before or performed ergonomic measurements, it is strongly advised to watch the How to Perform Office Ergonomics Measurements video for yourself, if alone, or for the person who will be performing the measurements for you. Once the measurements of yourself and your equipment has been completed and recorded on a sheet of paper, it is time to enter these values into the calculator, using the preferred units of measurement you had selected previously. The first series of measurements to be entered are with respect to your workstation equipment. Simply enter the information you have recorded into the required field. The next series of measurements to be entered into the calculator are with respect to your physical dimensions. As you can see in this example, the fields already have measurements in them. This is due to the fact that the Do you have someone to perform the measurements for you option had been selected previously. If someone was available to perform the measurements for you, please enter the values into the respective fields. The next section asks if you use a sit, stand, or height adjustable workstation. If you do not, simply continue to the next section. If you do use a height adjustable workstation, click the check box and continue to enter these measurements into the required fields. Again, note that the anthropometric measurements were again imported from the anthropometric calculator. The next section asks if you are bifocals while working. If yes, click the text box. If no, simply proceed. Once you have verified that the values you have entered are correct, select Calculate. The first section to be displayed is a comparison of your current workstation layout to your ideal layout. For each variable you will be told if your layout is correct, green, too low, close or shallow, yellow, and too high, far or deep, red. You will also be told why your layout is not correct for you. The final section displays the ideal office layout for you, based on the information you have entered. You will notice that some of the values provided are not exact values, but are a range of values. These are based on recommendations from the Canadian Standards Association's Guideline on Office Ergonomics. OCAL hopes the Office Ergonomics Calculator will assist in the mitigation and prevention of work-related injuries for you in your workplace parties.
So that was a quick overview of the 4 programs that were revised and updated that I brought forward. Now, the other most interesting thing I'm going to highlight, because it's going to lead into the next 2 presentations, is the creation of MyOCal. So what is a MyOCal? Well, it's going to be a new online hub for all things related to OCal. This includes account creation, webinar registration, e-course registration and programs, personalized services, and of course, any special announcements. So this is basically an example of how the main landing page of the MyOCal site is actually going to look like. It's actually a portal that's separate from the OCal website, in that it's got very unique materials here. Now, of course, the first thing we're going to have to do is actually create an account. Now, anyone that registered for RSI Day on Eventbrite will notice that some of the questions down below are the same. But when you were registering, for example, multiple sessions this year, You always had to enter your information into the questions. By creating an account, you'll never have to actually answer these questions again. Once they're done and answered, it gets saved in your profile. Now, of course, why is that an advantage? Well, part of our portal is that you're going to be able to register for any of our upcoming webinars. For example, RSI Day next year. Well, once this information's in, all you're going to have to do is log in, click register, and all your demographic information is already there. This is going to be nice and easy and simple. Now, my OCal isn't released yet. It will be ready later next week, and part of the update and emails will be letting you know that it's ready to go. So once you've created your account, you're going to return back to the main My OCal. And what is it that we can see here? Well, the first is what are e-courses. For example, the Office Ergonomics, which will be presented later on today, as well as different tools and applications. So, example, the Job Assess tool that is also going to be presented to you today. And of course, other information such as webinars, which you'll register there, any live events we'll be having, as well as any other information that's going to be new and upcoming from OCal. You'll also have the ability to go to your bookings for webinars, go to any of your courses that you've taken, or call up your job assessments that you've done and saved on the OCal website. So that's just a quick overview of My OCal. And again, this is going to be unlike anything we've ever had before. I'm really excited to see this coming because we're going to be off for you a number of different e-courses, one-stop shopping for everything related to OCal. And again, just the ease of registering for any of our webinars. And with that said, that's all I have for my presentation. Dwayne, are there any questions at all regarding the tools?
Yeah, there's a few here, Trevor.
Okay.
Are the calculators in French or just the tutorials?
The cold stress, the tutorial are the only ones available in French.
Okay. This is pertaining to the calculator. What is the anthropometric database that was used for the anthropometric calculator?
Let me go right back to it because it's actually shown on the app. It's actually a combination
How
of
to use
4 different databases. Let me just fast forward in the video here a second because it'll show it. So it's a combination of both Answers, Caesar, and also I got to move the stuff in my window here. It's in my way. The Dying survey or databases. So it's actually a mixture of all 4 because some of them had some measurement variables there, others didn't. So by combining the 4 of them into one, we're able to get the most comprehensive version of anthropometric data available.
Okay, good. Thank you, Trevor. One more here regarding the anthropometric calculator. The question is there a background document or an Excel version that has been updated as well, or just the app? The predecessor was somebody had written that they had used the Excel document in the.
There were no changes to the Excel document. Again, as I outlined it initially, the only reason for these changeovers were them being rendered inoperable by doing different link updates, etc. But yeah, I mean, ideally, there's no difference between the Excel version, but it is inherent with different issues that using the web-based or the mobile app version is just much more simpler. I also do need to add that The mobile app version currently is not available, but the 4 web-based apps are, and I will be sharing the links after my presentation in the chat. We do expect that the apps will be available before the end of next month, because that is the due date for them. So just keep your eyes out for that.
Okay, thanks, Trevor. Couple of quick ones here regarding the Office Ergo Calculator. Question was, are the keyboard and mouse treated separately?
I'm sorry, what was
Are
that
the
again?
keyboard and mouse treated separately?
No. I mean, typically the keyboard and mouse are on the same surface. So that is one thing. I mean, well, actually, it depends. Because you can measure in specific heights for the keyboard and the mouse, and it will address that. But there is the assumption that they're either on a height adjustable keyboard tray together, non-height adjustable tray, or on the desk. So assume that they're on the same surface, but you can enter in different height values.
Okay, perfect. One little quick last one here, so we need to move on. Are rest breaks included in the recommendations for avoiding overuse injuries?
No.
Basically, do the recommendations provided through the Office Ergo Calculator take into account rest breaks?
No, it doesn't. That could be that could be something for version 4. Again, and this also, I said, we are going to be sending off a request for beta testing of these tools next week. And so one part of that will be what further updates, changes can we address? So that'd be a terrific opportunity to be able to highlight anything that could be go into later versions of these tools.